Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. In the last video, I have covered what a thread is and its importance with a real life as well as technical scenario. In this video, we are going to discuss about a thread life cycle with a real life scenario. What are the different states of thread life cycle? How and when threads enter in a different states? And at the end, we are going to discuss some key points about thread life cycle. All we are going to discuss in this video. So just keep watching till end. You will get clear understanding about thread life cycle. Okay. So let's get started. So to understand Java thread lifecycle, it's necessary to have basic idea about how to create Java thread because Java thread lifecycle start from creation of Java thread. And therefore, first I will explain how to create a Java thread in short. But don't worry, in the next video I will deeply explain how to create Java thread with practical. Okay? Here just I am giving basic idea about how to create Java thread so that it will be helpful to understand thread lifecycle. Okay? So we know in Java everything is based on object. First we create an object and then perform necessary operations on it, right? Basically in Java everything start from creation of object. Similarly, Java thread lifecycle also start from creation of thread object. So let's understand how to create it and after that I will explain thread lifecycle. Okay? So let's understand how to create thread. So for that here I have created a class and its thread demo and extend here thread class because in Java we can create thread by two ways, by extending thread class and by implementing runnable interface. So here I have extend thread class. So thread class is a predefined class which is available in java.lang package having some constructors and methods. Some basic methods are start method, run method, sleep method, wait method and so on. I will list out all the methods in upcoming tutorial. Okay. So simply keep in mind thread class is a predefined class. That means thread class Java provides us to create thread and it has some constructors and methods and using those methods we can perform various operations on thread. Okay. And here I have override a run method which is present in thread class and inside run method we can write code that thread will execute. So simply keep in mind run method means execution code of thread. Okay. And here inside main method I have create thread object or we can simply say thread. So here I have create a thread using new keyword. And when a new thread is created using thread class or runnable interface, a new object is allocated on heap area. Okay. So here I have create new thread. And now if we have to use this thread in a program, then for that first we will need to start it. We cannot use thread directly. First we will need to start it. Okay. And therefore here I have called start method on thread object to start a new thread. And when the start method is called on a thread object, then it is considered that thread is ready to run or ready to execute. But it may not start executing immediately because execution of thread is depends on thread scheduler. The thread scheduler is responsible for allocating CPU time to threads. And once thread scheduler allocates CPU time to the thread, then internally a run method get called and thread start executing code written inside a run method. In simple, JVM uses a thread scheduler to manage the execution of threads. Okay. So in this way, thread is create, start and run. Clear? Now let's understand thread lifecycle. So when Java thread is created, it goes through various states during its lifetime. So let's discuss all those states with the touch of real life scenario. So let's imagine a person who is waiter in the restaurant. So in the morning, waiter wake up and start his day, but hasn't started working, only start his day. It means let's consider waiter is in start state. Similarly, in Java thread lifecycle, when thread is created using new keyword, then it is considered that thread is in new state or born state. So basically, in new state, Java thread is created using new keyword and memory will allocate on heap area. But remember, in new state, only Java thread is created. Thread hasn't started execution. Only thread is created. Same as waiter. Waiter is also start his day, but hasn't started working. Only start his day. Okay. All right. After that, waiter got ready, arrive at restaurant and ready to provide service to the customers and waiting for the customer. It means let's consider now waiter is in ready state. Similarly, after creating thread, when we call start method on thread object, then it consider as thread is in runnable state. Basically, when we call start method on thread, then thread is ready to execute the code but hasn't started execution because execution of thread controls the JVM by the help of thread scheduler. And therefore, when thread scheduler will provide CPU time to the thread, after that thread will start execution. So simply keep in mind in runnable state, thread is ready to execute the code and waiting for the CPU time to start execution. Same as waiter. Waiter is also ready to provide service to the customers but waiting for the customer. After that, waiter got customer, then immediately waiter start providing service to the customer. It means waiter start working. That is, waiter now is in working state. Similarly, once thread got CPU time, or we can say once thread scheduled to execute by thread scheduler, then immediately thread will start execution. So basically, when thread scheduled by thread scheduler, then internally run method will call and thread will start executing code inside run method. And when thread start executing code, then it consider that thread is in running state. So simply keep in mind, in running state, a run method get called and thread start executing code inside run method. So simply remember, when the thread is actually executing, it is in a running state. Clear? And after that, once waiter shift is over, waiter will stop working. So let's consider now waiter is in end state or in stop state. Similarly, in thread lifecycle, once thread completes executing code inside a run method, then thread automatically get terminated, and when thread get terminated, then it's considered as thread is in a dead state. And remember, once thread is dead, it cannot be restarted. It means once the thread is moved to the dead state, it can't go to a runnable or a running state again. Okay? In old Java, stop or destroy methods was used to terminate the thread, but in modern Java, these methods are deprecated, not recommended to use because they have some disadvantages. Okay? So simply keep in mind, in a dead state, thread stop its execution and get terminated. And once thread is dead, it cannot be restarted or can't go to runnable or running state again. Clear? So basically, these four states, new, runnable, running, and dead states, are main states of thread lifecycle. But sometimes thread has to go through one another state also, and it's a non-runnable state or block state. It means if we call sleep method or wait method on thread object, then thread enter into non-runnable state or a block state for specific time. Meaning that during execution, if we want to pause current execution of thread for specific time, then we can call sleep method or wait method to pause current execution for specific time. And once we call sleep method or wait method, then thread will pause its current execution for specific time and will enter into a non-runnable state from running state. Same as waiter. Sometime for reason during working hours, waiter need to rest for some time. Then waiter pause its working for some time and take a rest. Or sometime waiter need to wait for specific dish to prepare. That means if customer orders specific dish and dish is not ready, then waiter need to wait for specific dish to prepare before to serve it. Right? Similarly, in thread lifecycle, during execution of thread, thread need to sleep for specific time or thread need to wait for specific time. So basically, if we want to pause current execution of thread for specific time, then we can pause it by calling sleep method and wait method. Okay. So first let's understand what will happen when we call sleep method. So when sleep method will call, then thread pause its execution for specific amount of time, and during this time the thread is not eligible for execution and is not consuming CPU time and resources. And after sleep time has expired, then thread will again move to runnable state. And when thread is in runnable state, it means thread is ready for execution. But remember, only ready for execution won't start execution, because as we discussed before, execution of thread is depend on thread scheduler. So when thread scheduler will schedule the thread, and after that thread again will start execution. It means thread will again move to runnable to running state. So simply keep in mind, when thread calls the sleep method, then thread move in non-runnable state or block state, and will pause its execution for specific amount of time, and during this time the thread is not eligible for execution and is not consuming CPU time or CPU resources. After the sleep time has expired, the thread will move to the runnable state and will ready for execution again. Clear? Now let's understand what will happen if we call wait method. So when we call wait method on thread object, or we can say when thread calls wait method, then thread will block for specific time. It means thread will pause the current execution and will enter into block state or non-runnable state. And once thread enter into a block state, then thread will have to wait there until another thread calls the notify or notify all method on the same object. And when thread calls a notify or notify all methods, then again thread will enter into a runnable state and wait there for CPU time. And once we'll get CPU, then we'll enter into a running state again. Okay. And keep in mind, there are 2 or 3 versions of wait method. If thread calls a simple wait method, then thread will block until another thread call notify or notify all method. And if thread call wait method with parameters, and then in that method we can provide specific time, and therefore in that case there is no need to call notify or notify all methods. Thread automatically will enter into runnable state after specific time expire. Clear? Okay. All right. Now let's understand flow of thread lifecycle once again, so that you will get clear view about it. Okay. So in Java thread lifecycle, thread will have to go through 5 states: new state, runnable state, running state, dead state, and non-runnable state or block state. So when we create thread using new keyword, then thread will enter into a new state or born state. And when we call start method on thread object, then thread will enter into a runnable state. And in a runnable state, thread is ready to execute and waiting for CPU time. And remember, in runnable state, only thread is ready to execute but cannot start execution, because execution of thread is depends on thread scheduler. And once thread will get CPU time, or instead we can say when thread schedule to execute by thread scheduler, then thread will start execution. It means thread will enter into a running state. So basically, in running state, internally a run method will get called and thread will start executing code inside a run method. And when thread completes executing code inside run method, then thread automatically get terminate. It means thread will enter into dead state. And in case during execution, that means during executing code inside run method, if thread encounter sleep or wait method, then thread will pause current execution and will enter into a non-runnable state or block state for specific time. And when time will expire, or thread will notify using notify or notify all method, then again thread will enter into runnable state. It means again thread will ready to execute and will wait for CPU time. And then again thread will schedule to execute and enter into a running state and will continue executing code inside run method. And when thread completes executing code inside run method, then thread automatically get terminated and will enter into dead state. And once thread is dead, It cannot be restarted or cannot go runnable or running state again. Clear? Now let's focus on some key points about thread lifecycle. So first point is a thread can only be started once. That means if we try to start a thread that has already been started, you will get an illegal thread state exception. It means if we call start method twice on same thread object, then we can get illegal thread state exception. I will explain this point practically in the next video. Okay. So simply keep in mind a thread can only be started once. Okay. And second point is a thread can be interrupted using interrupt method. This will cause the thread to throw an interrupted exception if it is sleeping or waiting, meaning that if we call sleep method or wait method on particular thread and on the same thread if we call interrupt method, then it can throw interrupted exception. Clear? And third point to remember is once the thread is dead, it cannot be restarted. It means once the thread is moved to the dead state, it can't go to the runnable or running state again. It declared as dead. That's it. I hope you understand thread life cycle and different states of thread life cycle. In the next video, I will explain how to create thread using thread class and runnable interface in detail. Okay. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and thank you so much for watching.